a little bit of framing for this, and for some of you who know more about this than I do, this may be either redundant or I may misspeak. So take notes so you can correct me once it's your turn. But as all of you know, or most of you, Eric Robbins here, happy to help work to make this event. As you know or may know, Pima County Democratic Party officially, endorsed this some time ago, and in an effort to help keep people aware, in the ever asked, what are Dems doing? This isn't what Dems are doing, but it's something that Dems are broadly in support of, and I'll let our guest speak to that more specifically. However, very high level, we're discussing the National Infrastructure Bank, which I believe is HR 4052, which is
No, no,
designed to.
last year. It's now 5356.
Thank you. There we go. One of those corrections I mentioned. Appreciate that. So designed to help rebuild the country without requiring new federal taxes. Notably, this is not a new model. This similar things have been done multiple times in our past. Again, I'll let our guests speak to that. I'm sure they'll have more and more interesting information about what that's done for our country in the past. We are facing a huge deficit. The NIB aims to help close that gap by leveraging existing debt to fund something. And it can be addressing lots of different types of projects, high-speed rail, pipe replacements, modernization of the grid, more and more. I'm sure our guests will go into that as well. So please welcome them, give them your attention. Thank you for being here. Stuart, the floor is yours, and I'll let you turn it over to the rest of your guests as works best for you. Yeah?
Okay, great. Stuart Rosenblatt here in the Northern Virginia. I'm a volunteer with the coalition. First of all, I want to thank the Pima County Dems for sponsoring this. It's extremely important. You guys are gracious and really good and technically smart, So thanks again for having us. Okay, I'm going to just quickly introduce folks. We're going to have two presentations. They are not going to be that long. We want plenty of time for discussion, and we're going to be really loose on the Q&A. Angela?
Yes, hi everyone. Angela Vula. I'm the Communications Director for the Coalition. I'm here in Loudoun County, Virginia, where I am active with the Loudoun County Democrats. Nice to meet everybody.
Jim Hanley.
Thanks, Stuart. My name is Jim Hanley. Many of you in Pima County know me from my very long affiliation and work with the Democratic Party. I'm a state committee member and PC. I am also the founder and executive director of Arizonans for a New Economy, which is a public banking advocate. And I've been representing the National Infrastructure Bank in Arizona for the last few years and working with the NIB as a volunteer for about 3 years.
And hats off to Jim for pulling this shindig together. Jenny.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Ginny Ballou. I'm from Boise, Idaho. My in-laws for the last 38 years had a place down in Mesa. So I have been driving down across the state for 38 years. And I am the Western Regional Director of the National Federation of Democratic Women. And we helped bring this to both the National Federation as well as the DNC. So I'll be happy to speak to you on that, because it may not be what Democrats are doing currently, but it's certainly what they should be doing.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. Alfecca, just introduce yourself, then we're going to get started.
Okay. Alfecca Mutardi with the Coalition for a National Infrastructure Bank. I'm a macroeconomist, worked for 25 years at the International Monetary Fund, and helped to work on the bill and the economic impacts of the bill. And now I'm on the coalition board.
So I think we're going to begin. We're going to have two speakers. It's going to be Alfecca and Jenny. And then we're going to throw it open. And we'll take all questions and, we'll have an interesting discussion. Alfecca, go ahead.
Super duper. So I've got some slides. I will send the set of the slides to the Pima County group, and then they can forward them on to you if you're interested in seeing them. So we have a bill in the U.S. Congress to create a $5 trillion public bank to lend for infrastructure projects all across the country. You may well ask, well, why do we need one of those? And the reason we need it is because we cannot adequately finance infrastructure, not through the federal budget, state and local budgets, private capital money. That's there, but not enough. And meanwhile, the unfunded gap for infrastructure has exploded over the last 4 years, according to the last report card of the American Society of Civil Engineers. So this bank is a lender of last resort. It will top up all the financing that we need to fix everything. And while it's at it, it's really going to reboot the American economy and do two things that will really help Americans writ large: to raise their wages and lower their cost of living, which will make the economy more affordable for them. Currently, our bill has 54 members of Congress on board. From Arizona, we have
Nobody.
Sorry?
Nobody.
Nobody. So we need your help to get some members of Congress to support this bill, because as I'm going to show you in just a minute, Arizona would be a big beneficiary from this bank. So what we've learned from looking at history and from looking at budgets is that we cannot finance infrastructure adequately through budgets. We just can't do it. And so we need an off-budget public bank to do the job. The good news is we've had 4 really large banks like this in our nation's past, starting after the American Revolutionary War, going through the Great Depression and World War II. They were very successful. They're not around today because their charters timed out, but a very successful model, so much so that other countries around the world use this model. They call it the American system, and they have permanent banks in place to finance their infrastructure. This bank works just like any commercial lending bank. To open its doors, we need to get it adequately capitalized. That's money that the owners of the bank invest into it in order to backstop the loans. To do that, we go to the private sector, who are today holding around $30 trillion in treasuries all around the world. Ask would they like to sell just a small portion of them into the NIB, swap for preferred stock in the NIB that'll pay these investors a boost on their dividend earnings. That's their enticement. That money comes out of interest earnings from NIB loans, with plenty of money left over to meet the bank's other operational needs. And that's what makes this bank self-sustaining, so that it does not require money from the federal budget to operate over time. Then the bank gives out a loan, just the same as any commercial bank does, uses the same banking rules, creates money each time it gives out a loan. Most people don't know that commercial banks do that. They all do. This one is no different, except this is a public bank. So we want to keep financing costs down to the rock bottom that we can, while still keeping the bank afloat for the benefit of the borrowers. And those borrowers, for the most part, would be state and local governments, any public entity that owns public infrastructure, for example, a county, a city, for a road, a bridge, a school, can come in directly to the NIB and ask for a loan. We cover $5 trillion in project loans in 21 infrastructure categories. 18 of them are the ones routinely monitored by the American Society of Civil Engineers. We use their estimates on how much added money is needed to repair transportation systems, water systems, upgrade the power grid, build out schools and broadband. Then we added 3 more categories we also think are very important: a complete high-speed rail network all around the country, affordable housing targeted at the very lowest income earners who need it the most, and then some large-scale water projects in areas where we grow our nation's food, like the Southwest and like Arizona. We currently have a big water crisis in the United States. We've had drought for about 20-year period, which had record, water shortages in the Southwest. We've had some rainfall now, so the drought monitor as of this February is not looking too bad, but we still have drought along the central Texas area and the East Coast as well. We have a severe groundwater problem depletion. You can especially see it down here along the Ogallala.
Right to what's in it for Arizona.
Yeah, okay. And so we want to, the NIB will provide $200 billion for these new water supply projects, including the Colorado River, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, and other kinds of water implementation to boost these up. So what's in it for Arizona? Out of the $5 trillion, the state could qualify for up to 96 billion over 10 years to cover all of your backlog of infrastructure projects, plus more. The activity in the state, directly and indirectly, would create nearly 500,000 new great-paying, family-sustaining wage jobs. The bank will provide financing for anything mentioned on your state report card from the engineers: dams, levees, drinking wastewater systems, households needing broadband, internet connections, the power grid need to prevent blackouts, and then you've got a growing population and a lot of water needs. So in the particular area of water, we would do something that would be outside of your state, but would fundamentally impact your water supplies in Arizona. And that is to refurbish the Colorado River Basin, which today Lake Mead is down to 27% capacity. Soon it will go to Deadpool status. And there's a big fight over delivering water to the three states, Arizona, Nevada, and California from the Colorado River. We have plans that we could either bring unused water, thrown away water, from Louisiana up to the San Juan River, and then refill Lake Mead and Lake Powell in maybe a 2 or 3 year period. Or we could bring it down from Lake Tahoe. It wouldn't cost any more than building an interstate highway. It's very doable. We built pipelines like this all the time, for example, to carry oil. It wouldn't be $12 billion would maybe be the estimated cost. And it was fundamentally solve the water supply problem on the Colorado River for 7 states and 40 million people that take electricity and water from it. And that would help to alleviate your having to have big water cuts from the agreement, the water agreement. And then training workers, building rural economies, reaching tribal areas, improving state and city finances, because all of this activity will do two fundamental things that Democrats really need to accentuate as their economic message. It'll raise wages by putting people into great paying jobs, and it will lower the cost of living by building affordable housing, broadband, transportation, those kinds of things, and make the economy affordable for the working class Americans. So that's the secondary objective besides building the infrastructure. So I'm going to stop there and see if you have any questions.
After Ginny's done, we're going to go.
Yep.
Ginny, we're going to have Ginny speak, and then we're going to have Jim for a minute, and then we're going to throw it open.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I'm sure you'll have questions on that. I saw one in the chat that I'm sure Alfeca will be able to answer all of those. What I'm going to talk to you on is, this is a great infrastructure bill. But one of the things that's amazing about it is that it's helping all of our communities, not just our larger ones. Yes, our cities need some big projects, but our small communities need big projects too that they can never afford. So when this bank is created, it then is not dependent on who's in power. So it doesn't matter whether they like you in the State House or in the White House, in order for the projects to continue in the continuity that they need to get done. As I said, I've been driving through the state for 38 years. Well, longer than that, because we used to come out west and visit when I was a kid. But the 11 corridor is fabulous. But I can tell every time I change a county, and we've been waiting for it to get done. My in-laws were 1 block off of the end of the light rail on Gilbert and Maine, and that thing was phenomenal. So why shouldn't we have that everywhere? Why don't we have the ability with a light rail and a high-speed rail to be able to get from Tucson up to Phoenix? So all of those things get addressed. The other thing that I love about this whole entire coalition and project is it's a jobs bill. It's not a concept or a thought, or let's talk about having infrastructure discussions next month. It's an actual hit the ground ready with your shovel, with your engineers, with all your people that will be working in well-paying jobs, and get things being started and done. And we've never been able to complete it. It has to be large enough. It has to be national, because all these projects cross state lines. It's not just one community that needs it. It's not just down in Tucson. It's not just Pima. It's all over that needs it. The water also, the one thing I want to really emphasize for Arizona, which is I know you're so well aware of, My husband, when my in-laws would ask over all the years, hey, why don't you guys move in next door? Oh, the place next to us is coming up for sale. Why don't you move in? Wouldn't that be great? And my husband would always say, water is going to be the next gold. And he'd rather stay up here in Idaho at the top of the food chain than down in Phoenix at the bottom. And one of the last times I was down, I saw that they had a new plan of how they were going to meter water down, and they were basically going to bypass the res and bring it to Phoenix first. I don't know when Tucson got to fit in, because my understanding was Phoenix, no one in northern Arizona. Phoenix got it first, and then maybe the res would get some, and then it would dribble down. So convoluted plans that aren't sustainable, and how insulting that we're going to bypass the res first. So I see this lastly then as a platform that Democrats should be running on. We have a solid plan to put the nation back to work. We have a that does not rely on a dollar from the government, doesn't rely on anyone's taxes going up. It allows people that are already investing in safe bonds to get a little bit more money on their investment. And all of our communities get the infrastructure that they need. I mean, the only fault a Republican can have with it is that they didn't think of it and that they're afraid of their boss. So I think we need to run on it, strike while that iron is hot, get it passed, get every congressional person that you can to get signed onto it. And the last thing I'll say is I don't know if you've met my friend Jeannie Buell that used to be vice chair here in Idaho, and is down in Green Valley. She's calling it summer camp for seniors.
Jeannie is well known to us, for sure.
Yes. Well, she tells a real funny story of the first time she was trying to pretend she didn't have any background, and some good old boy went to say something or other, and she went to make a comment, and he says, "Well, I'm not sure if you know how this works." And so she had to then stand up, like she does, and give her little CV, and I think dressed him up one side down the other. I wished I could have been there, but
I'll let her know you said hello for sure.
So you be sure and say hey to her and Dennis.
You bet.
As we go back a long way, and I'm Ginny Ballou, and she's
Copy.
Jeannie Buell.
Yes.
And we're
Got
both
it.
feisty, short-haired women. And
Copy.
so often I would, be so blessed to be mistaken for her. And I said, when I grow up, if only. And
I
our
was gonna say,
birthdays are very,
she's got a
very
couple
close
years on you,
together.
I think.
So
All right. Thanks, Jenny.
So why don't
You
we do
betcha.
this? All right, so Angela has a comment, and then we'll throw it open, and then we'll have Jim, and then we'll get these questions.
Yeah, I
out.
just
There's
want
a
to
lot of them.
talk briefly about the timing of this, because it's both an intervention into the economic crisis and the political crisis. Because what we're seeing now, as we know, is that we have a severe physical breakdown, which is the infrastructure, but we also have a financial crisis. We have very high debt, and we don't have enough money in the budget to address the crumbling infrastructure. On top of that, we have a financial oligarchy that is only out for their own gain, as the 95% of the economy can't make it day to day. So what we're the population. So what we're talking about here is actually restructuring the entire economic and financial system so that it benefits all the people. So that we believe that by investing in infrastructure, by creating high wage jobs, we're going to level the playing field, just like Franklin Roosevelt did with the Great Depression and built the middle class, built unions coming out of that. So it really gets to the core of the current debate going on around infrastructure, but also about the affordability, that people can't afford, to live on a daily basis. What we're saying around affordability is that you can't just say it. You actually have to create the economy by creating increased revenue, productivity, to actually make the economy affordable in terms of affordable housing. We certainly don't want our infrastructure to be privatized. So that gives you a context of why we need to create this national infrastructure bank.
Great. So Jim, just for a minute, and then I want to throw it open.
Only thing I want to do is remind people that This bank is capitalized with the existing U.S. Treasury bonds, of which there is $30 trillion outstanding. We need $1.5 trillion to fully capitalize this bank. Once it's fully capitalized, it will sustain itself. This does not add to the national debt at one bit. In fact, it's going to, that little tiny bit, $1.5 trillion of treasury bonds, is going to relieve the burden somewhat of interest payments on the debt that is currently plaguing the federal budgets. So we think that and I've had a securities license for 30 years, and this capitalization scheme and the projects that the demand is there for the credit, this bank is going to work.
Great. All right, so let's throw it open. Do you want to moderate, Eric? Do you want me to? How do you want to do it? You're muted, Eric.
I'm muted. Let me do this if I may. We've got some questions that backed up in the chat a little bit. Let me go ahead and deliver those. And if we could just get like this, some of them are quite succinct, or we might have touched on them already. I'll let you pick who answers them. David asked, is this a federally chartered bank that is a member bank of the Federal Reserve System?
Alpaca?
Yes, it is. The bill actually is the charter of the bank. It would be FDIC insured. We've already checked with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency that grants charters to banks. And so, yes, on all those accounts.
Copy that. Thank you. Next one was from Michael Bryant. He was questioning, he had a question mark about whether it could possibly permanently eliminate our lack of water. Maybe he's thinking that's a little hyperbolic. I'll let Mike clarify if he wishes. But then there's the note about he's curious about the governing structure to ensure political independence in these times. Political independence, some of a bit of a chimera sometimes. So how do you help?
So with the water, we're the only one that has money, 200 billion in the bank to finance new water projects. What the Department of Interior is about these days is just cut back. And the Colorado River wasn't built with enough water initially in it. So this is a fundamental switch to provide more financing. But let me just show you about the independence of the bank and how it's arranged. I've got a slide on that, so I'll just pull it up. So this bank is definitely independent. I have to go up, not down. And the way that we've done this is to set out in the bank's charter everything that it would be covering, how the loans would be approved, that it would cover these 21 infrastructure categories, that this is a mixed ownership government corporation, which means that you can't go about, it's a corporation, so you can't go about interfering with the operations of the bank, not from any executive branch that is in power today. It targets what we need to fix. It has to have a cost-benefit analysis to justify the loans. It uses the same fiduciary rules as any commercial bank, appointed board of directors with staggered terms that will overlap different administrations. It can only approve loans in line with the charter. It has, all the fiduciary things that'll protect the loans. And then there's the operation of how to run it the way that the Reconstruction Finance Corporation, the previous bank, was run by this gentleman from Texas. He was a banker. He was quite aggressive in the things that he covered and put out loans for, but very conservative in his approach. And with his administration, they dealt out 50 billion in low-cost loans without a whiff of scandal or anything. So we've got proof that it can be done and has been done. All the four banks were successful economically, and they were independent institutions, or they complemented what the government was doing and what the government needed, like the Transcontinental Railroad or the Hoover Dam or whatever complementing budget projects.
We'll call that good. Okay. Could this be established at the state level from David?
It absolutely could be established at the state level. But I mean,
Right.
in a small, I mean, we have one, which is the Bank of
Mm.
North Dakota, which does infrastructure and some other things. We have some other state banks that are proposed in Washington State, in California. But what we've learned from all of those banks is that they will be small. So they can complement on things like sharing in a joint venture on a project. But no entity is going to cover $5 trillion in project loans at the state level. It will need a national bank. It will also need a national bank to do projects that go across state lines, like water projects and high-speed rail projects.
So would it be safe to say that a state versions of this would be complementary and not
Complementary.
necessarily deleterious to it at all?
That's
However,
correct.
there
And it's
are,
built into the bill.
look,
Yeah,
there are
sorry.
state infrastructure banks already. We've
Yeah.
met with a number of them.
Okay.
They like ours because
Nice.
they just aren't big enough because they ultimately depend on money coming from their state, and states are increasingly, they're not quote unquote red states, but they're in the red. And
Yeah.
they have a hard time coming up with the amount of money needed. Plus, this question of crossing state lines is a real question. We had a long meeting with the Infrastructure Bank of New Jersey, which is one of the better ones. And they said their meetings, when they discussed the bridge that goes over the Delaware River, it's a famous bridge.
Yeah.
It should be rebuilt. Anybody who's been on it, you take your life in your hands. But what they say, nobody comes to the meetings because it's New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania all have entry-exit parts going, roads going into and out of the bridge. And they say nobody has any idea who's running the meeting, who's got jurisdiction. So they said the idea of a national infrastructure bank, if nothing else, as a referee, would have the money to fix the whole thing and work with everyone. So that just simply proved the point. So the bottom line is, if there's state infrastructure banks, great, but we're now at a point where, I'm just say one last thing. When this bill was put together, and even this year when we reintroduced it, there was no question that the need of the bank had to be in the $7 to $10 trillion category. I mean, California needs $1 trillion. We were on today with Washington State folks. Washington State needs $1 trillion. They've already got these projects lined up, ready to go. We kept it at 5 only because of sticker shock. And what it did is prove the point that without this level of bank, you are not going to reverse the overall slide of the economy. Michael,
Copy. All right.
let me say one thing on the
Sorry, go ahead.
capitalization. There's a question about the bank doesn't need 500 billion to open. It can open its doors with 50 billion, which we think will be easy to get. We've been talking to, unions, pension funds, other banks, companies, and the bank can open with 50 billion. It is authorized to invest 10 times its capital. So we'll build up the 500 billion over 10 years. In the meantime, the bank will give out ultimately up to 5 trillion in loans. So we can start with 50. So if somebody wants to kick in 50, we can open it tomorrow.
All right. And some of the back and forth was going on. David, Michael, you both had some questions, but I want to pause there for a second. We've got a hand up. Chris, you've got a question, sir. Go ahead and have the floor if you will.
Yeah, I'm curious how this might work with international boundaries. For instance, Mexico could be a solution to our water crisis here, as well as, there have been proposals in the past, like WAPA in the 60s, to bring water from Canada all across the Western United States. So if you could just comment on that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest areas for international cooperation is not only water, but also bridges and high-speed rail. To give you an example, we had for the longest time a proposal to build a bridge between Detroit and Canada. And the government never came up with the money. Finally, the Canada National Infrastructure Bank decided to build the bridge. Of course, their engineers got all the work from that, but it will have fundamental impacts in the United States. It'll lower the cost of building a car in Michigan by up to $300. So that's one example. We see that the tentacles of this could go across borders.
I just
Great.
want to add, though, on to this, because this is really about getting the federal government to function. And the bank is to be an arm of that functionality, even though, we're saying it's an independent bank. This is not just about building infrastructure per se. You have to really think about, the fight after the American Revolution and why Hamilton created the bank. This was not to be a federation of sovereign states. This was to be a national government where our federal government and our nation as a whole succeeded, and this would to finance that collaboration. And this is the fight that Franklin Roosevelt was in, to get people to believe in the power of good government, federal government. And unfortunately, this has been completely eroded by intention by the Trump administration.
By the way, we had, just for your Canadian friends, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago with an MP in the Canadian Parliament who's very interested, and we'd love to get a NIB bill in the Canadian Parliament. So yeah, we've thought a lot about, and the same with Mexico. I mean, we totally agree. There should be collaboration, between the three countries on this kind of project.
Excellent. Thank you.
I think you're muted, Eric.
Stu, and all, there was a question in the chat about could the water from the aqueduct sustain the reservoir levels indefinitely? And from what I've seen from the reports that our engineer Don Siefkes has given, it surely would. It would supplement the shortfall from the Rockies snowmelt indefinitely. There is so much water that is wasted from the Atchafalaya into the Gulf of Mexico that he estimates that within 2 years of completion of the aqueduct, both reservoirs would be raised to 50% of capacity. So it would sustain that shortfall indefinitely.
Easily. The run, 30% of the Mississippi goes through a design runoff created by the Corps of Engineers, which has been functioning for years. And all that money flows harmlessly into, quote, the Gulf of Mexico. And the bank would take 5% of it and redirect it into the reservoirs. And we do this. We build pipelines all over the place, including even the one that Trump just vetoed like an idiot in Colorado.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to this, that we have to really confront, how we've been sort of brainwashed in the last 50 years to not think big and, to think small. We gotta, we're running out of resources. We have too many, the whole thing about what we're saying is that America used to think big and bold. And frankly, when President Biden initiated the bipartisan infrastructure law, that was his intention. And because of, partisanship, it got whittled down. The bipartisan infrastructure law as an initiative was very good. It was too small. It is expiring this year. We've always been saying all along that the National Infrastructure Bank could complement and take on what the bipartisan infrastructure law intended. And that's why this is a perfect moment, because it's expiring. There's going to be a big debate about surface transportation. So that's why this is the moment. But somebody asked, what can I do? So maybe this is a good time.
Why doesn't Ginny speak? Ginny, I know you're chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just chatting them up, telling them what to do. But
Get him, Ginny.
short answer of it is get your Congress people to sign on. That's the short answer. What do we really need? We need it passed. So we need all the support that we can get. Short of that, next step on that is get meetings with them. Another reason that I see it as a really great thing for Democrats to use in our small communities, it's a way to get people involved and say, oh, hey, Sue, don't you have a contact with so-and-so's office? And isn't it, your cousin that's over here. And it's a way to get our people involved and to make those calls to our representatives. We elect them. We do all the work to get them elected. They're calling you right now because they've got stuff going on. Hey, here's a program we think would really help Arizona, would help the country. We want you to sign on and run for it. And then I would be, a terrible Democrat if I didn't tell you that, of course, we need money. So I'm sure they've got a QR code floating around somewhere or other. We always take a little bit of money that goes to the coalition to make sure that these people can get to all the meetings that we need to and show up in person. That stuff that we show up for. So that's what we got for you.
On the Congress thing, this is to be really crude about it. We have 54 sponsors in the House right now. Last year, former Congressman Grijalva, who we really liked, of course, passed away, was a co-sponsor. So our first job is to get his daughter to co-sponsor the bill. And you guys all know her, so we can work with you if you want to set up a call with her, if you want to set up a call with their staff, or if you want to do a letter, or we have a sample letter, or whatever you think is the best mechanism. We need to get Congresswoman Grijalva on this bill. That's step one. If we get her, and we will do whatever it takes to get her, we like her. She's a good person, and she comes out of, the right stock, so to speak. We really liked her father. I mean, I have to be honest with you. He was a complete wild SOB, and it was very sad well, he was. I mean, I knew him. I mean, he was crusty scoundrel. He was really good. You had to be like that to survive these lunatics in the Congress.
Raul was a real one.
Right? He was real. But anyhow, we have to get her on. And then let's be optimistic. If you get her on, we want to go for Stanton and other Democrats in Arizona. There's a handful we believe can get on this bill. And so that's our job. But the first job is to get the Congresswoman by whatever. I mean, most of the people who've gotten these Congress members, virtually all of them have been gotten by people like you, state legislators, Democratic officials, whatever, calling them directly and asking them to co-sponsor.
Oh, sorry, Stu. I was in Phoenix, spoke at the Arizona Federation Democratic Women's Luncheon in December, I think it was. And Adrian Fontes was there, as was Kate Gallego, and a couple of people from your Arizona Democratic Party, and they were all in favor of it. So not one of them yet has passed a resolution that I know of, but if you've got Adrian coming down doing a fundraiser there, you could remind him, oh, hey, Ginny from Boise said you were going to be taking a meeting, and his guy. So that's another one, too, of being able to get the Secretary of State. So I know it's that season where we're all seeing each other for that same pool of, oh, what are you doing?
Do what we can on that one, Ginny.
Excuse me?
We'll do what we can on that one.
We appreciate that. Adrian's a great guy. He's been up here a couple of times, and
we know Adrian well.
Yeah, he's and a heck of a singer.
I see he's told you.
No. Well,
no. He sings at our events
years ago, and we were the only people over 40 in the room. Now it's many decades beyond that, but so we had dinner together while all the 25-year-olds sat in another 3 tables. So,
are there any other questions for our guests while we got them? Coming up on the chat, does the bill have Senate equivalent? Reason not to run the bills concurrently?
Here's the problem. We don't have a Senate bill. We are working aggressively to get one. We have done a lot of meetings with Senate offices. We've met with 1 or 2 senators directly. It's a top priority. We have meetings in the Senate side every week. I don't know that the Arizona senators are likely lead sponsors, although I think we did have a good meeting with Kelly's staff. If you want to reach out, that would be great. We have some really possible candidates to introduce this blasted thing, and we're working hard on it, but we certainly need help. On the Republican side, just so you know, we believe in self-torture and flagellation of the flesh. We've met with 150 Republican congressional offices or members directly. We have a handful that would like to actually get on the bill, but they're terrified. And, you know, that's not our problem. I'd be honest with you. But so I just want to let you know, numbers of we have 30 states have introduced resolutions. We had one in Arizona 2 years ago. Numbers of those are bipartisan, and a number of them have passed. We passed one in Nevada, both houses bipartisan. California, lower house, bipartisan. So at the state level, it's a little less controlled, but our view is Ginny's view, really. We need to get every damn Democrat on this bill. We need to build it as big as possible and peel off a handful of Republicans, you know, as things deteriorate.
I just wanted also to emphasize that the purpose of our grassroots coalition, we're not a think tank or anything like that. Our purpose is to get legislation for this bank. Now, it happens to coincide with this big historical moment that we're in. And if you look at when the bank was created in similar circumstances, whether it was at the initiation of the country, Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War, and Franklin Roosevelt, it was in similar times of existential crisis. We are in one of those times right now. So the bill, even though we tend to look at it as a practical thing, this is bigger than a bill. This is a policy that can save this nation.
I appreciate that. Michael, you got your hand up, friend. Go ahead.
Just wondering, is there a clear method of nominating and confirming these the board of director members in the bill? I mean, I could read it, but I'm lazy. I just want you to tell me.
The provisions in the bill for the board of directors defines their responsibilities, talks about the fact that they should be nominated by the president and approved by the Congress. They are stipulated that they should have certain kinds of backgrounds. So we're not looking for politician types or anything like that. We're looking for hard engineers that have experience building infrastructure, and also representatives from state and local governments, from minority groups, and things like that, who can speak to the fact that the bill is being rolled out equitably. So those are set out in the bill.
You say confirmed by Congress. Is that both houses have to confirm the nomination?
No, I think it's the Senate, the same way they confirm other.
However, number of congressmen we've talked to, look, it's a bill. It hasn't been passed. It's a sausage machine in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
A number of House members would rather have the House nominate, believe it or not, which is fine.
No, I mean, it's more representative. So I would be in favor of that.
That would be fine with us. That way we wouldn't have to look.
The Senate is so malapportioned.
The bank is like the Fed in that it's walled off from the overreach of the current lunatic in the White House.
Kind of my concern is if it were the Senate that we're confirming, it's so malapportioned that it would obviously incentivize governors or board members to emphasize rural areas over urban areas in terms of investment. So that would be my concern with doing it through the Senate.
Although go ahead, Jim.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, and I don't think that Alfeca had a chance to cover this, is that the needs that are identified in the bill are based upon report cards that are issued every 2 years by the American Society of Civil Engineers. So they know what, the condition of the infrastructure, they know what is needed, and the additional new infrastructure that's in the bill is all completely vetted. For instance, the high-speed rail network. We have expert planners in that area that identify that. We know that there's a lot of electrical transmission lines that need to go to areas where, you know, we have solar farms and wind generators. Right now, there's a problem in getting that electricity onto the grid
Sure.
because we
And
don't have.
regulatory as much as anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
so
is this a permanent bank or
Yeah.
another
No,
limited term?
sunset.
Oh, it sunsets?
No sunset.
No sunset.
The
Okay,
other
good.
one-
Let's not make the
the
mistakes of
other
the
one-
past.
The other one-
That's what we feel. We've learned from what they didn't do right and taken all the things that were correct, and don't let this one expire. Yeah.
I can't resist addressing what David said. Maybe we should name this the Trump Best Ever Bank. But you probably heard that he said to Chuck Schumer, I'm going to cut off all funding for Gateway unless you name Penn Station Trump
Yeah.
Station.
Ugh.
The answer to Trump is no. This bank is not going to be named after Donald Trump.
Well,
Wouldn't
this is
mind,
the
actually,
kind of
if we
thing
got
that
it.
this is the kind of thing that rolls up into, people go, where's our 2026 plan? Where's our 2028 plan? And this is the kind of thing you go, you want a pillar of that plan? Check out the NIB
No.
and have a time. Chris, you've had your hand up for a minute, friend. Go ahead.
So again, this is something that never sunsets. I'm curious as to I don't think that we have enough resources and people in this country if we're not metering how the board figures out what projects should be shovel ready and which need to be delayed. I mean, is there any mechanism on how we're
I'm
going
hearing
to?
inflation concerns there from Chris.
Yes, essentially. I mean, that $5 trillion is not gonna go nearly as far as we think it's going to go.
Oh, we agree on.
We really want to build infrastructure efficiently, low cost, bring costs down. They've really escalated dramatically, but overall, we want to have better planning than we have now. Currently, we have a bunch of departments under the executive that are, they don't communicate with each other. When there's a transit project, it doesn't even ask the question in the Department of Energy and Department of Transportation, what do I need for electrical inputs to run the transit system? Because that's the Department of Energy. So we don't have really good linked together planning the way that we should. And so this bill explicitly calls for more regional consideration of that. It calls for regional economic development accelerator groups that could be groups of governors that have a commonality of geography with each other to come up with a list of the projects that are needed, a complete list, not just things that you take off the budget because you can't afford them and then put them in a drawer somewhere, but a complete list of what needs to be, and that includes input from counties because counties own most of the infrastructure and they're the ones that are not getting the money right now. So it can't be a centralized state DOT that's not taking account of local roads, for example. So we need better planning, we need a complete inventory, and we need to roll out infrastructure in such a way that it's coordinated. So we have housing next to transit stations to get people back and forth to work so we can reduce CO2 emissions and congestion and provide things that people need at the lowest possible price. That's electricity, water, transportation, and housing.
But also rebuilding the workforce is the key to making all this happen, especially now with Trump's immigration policy. And that's why, Ginny and Carolyn Fowler sold this to the DNC as a jobs program. If we don't create the jobs, right? Because what we have right now is a consumer economy. We have low wage service jobs. We have to create productive jobs again. So you can't be in a fantasy, if we get the money, all this is going to fall into place. No, you need a workforce that's going to build the infrastructure.
And if I can lean into that, and then Michael, I'll turn it back over to you. But just based on what you just said, you know what AI can't do?
Right.
It can't build
It
fucking
can't build-
infrastructure.
That's
forgive
It
me
can't
for
create
cursing,
and
but
it
I
can't
love
deliver
that, so-
the gravel.
Oh,
It can't bring those
that's
parts
completely
down.
wrong. No, you could take a bunch of chatbots and
Yeah.
put them at a construction site.
That's
And
right.
they'll and they'll actually build the railroads and the housing. I know
Yeah.
that's the latest
It's, yeah,
fan
yeah.
that could very well blow up the financial system. But
Yeah. Michael, go ahead. You've got your hand up, bud.
Go
And
ahead.
not to speak for Chris or anything, but what he raised in his question that I put on my conservative economist ears for is the inflationary pressure that all this additional competition for people and capital and capital goods and all that is going to cause inflationary pressures throughout the economy. And that's if I were a Republican politician, the first thing I would ask is how is this structured so as to avoid cost inflation across the economy? Is there any coordination with the Fed, for instance, in order to pace the investments of the infrastructure bank in coordination with the Fed so as to keep inflation under control? That would be my main concern as a Republican.
Yeah. So we think that they're accounted for on both fronts. First of all, this bank is not inflationary because this kind of investment increases supply. First of all, there's a provision in the bank, Buy America Only, which is the same as in the Biden infrastructure bill, to stimulate American manufacturing. But overall, what we found is for every dollar that you borrow from the National Infrastructure Bank, you create this new dollar, you borrow money, and you then do an infrastructure project, which increases supply overall. It produces $3 new of extra supply in the economy, and that's what makes it non-inflationary. And should there be short-term strains on the system with money creation, there is coordination with the Federal Reserve to have a countervailing monetary policy.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear as a conservative politician who might sponsor this. Yeah. Because it's sounding a little modern monetary theory to me as
Except that one big difference with modern monetary policy is this is directed. I mean, if you said, "Oh, modern monetary policy, we can just create the number, we can just create money and build infrastructure, we can do it through the Federal Reserve." That's not their mandate to build infrastructure. Their mandate is to keep the value of the dollar and keep inflation from rising. They're not interested in building infrastructure. This is an institution directing money creation at the building of productive infrastructure.
That's a good distinction. May I restate that and see if I understand that, Alfeka? Is that okay?
Sure.
Can I? So, and Mike, if I can jump in here, the difference between what this is versus what our federal banking system is, they are tinkerers with the dollar and the money supply. They don't have an infrastructure mandate. It's
Correct.
not their purview. That's not what they do. And by putting this piece in place, you're buying American, hiring American, putting Americans to work in long-term jobs and things that can't be replaced with technology in a meaningful way in a short term, not to build bridges and roads and stuff.
That's
right?
All true.
Like
but I mean, what we are essentially talking about is an additional $4.5 trillion in the economy, ultimately.
Yeah. And kept in the
it's created by the bank.
Yeah. No, but
it's great. It's correct. You're increasing but as I said, we've got some good modeling from the University of Maryland. For every dollar that you're increasing the money supply, you're using it and directing it to build to invest in infrastructure, which is so productive that it creates $3 new of supply on the supply side.
And
for that
increased efficiency and utilization across the economy. Yeah, I get that.
No, this is anti-inflationary. It's just counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Well, and if I could also add is one of the things that's so beautiful about the bill is it's talking about employing the people that are there. In my area here in Idaho, we have little pockets that have decent jobs and people that drive 4 or 5 hours, stay all week with 12 guys in a rental place and sleep all over and take the good money, and they drive away, barely pay gas in that community. With this bill, you're hiring people that live in the community. And so you're keeping, we all know from, basic community economy, $10 that's paid to someone in a community, $7 stays there. You pay that 10 to somebody that lives 4 hours away, you're lucky if you get $1.
Yeah.
They're barely buying groceries. They're coming in with their groceries. So this is
and that
pushing
dollar
that
into a
money
gas
back
station,
in the
which also
economy.
left your town. Yeah.
Exactly.
My strong advice for talking to Republican legislators about this is to point out that a lot of these manufacturing jobs have just disappeared, and there's a whole cadre of workforce out there that has been idled or underutilized. And so by utilizing that, we not only, improve the wealth and well-being of their rural districts where a lot of these folks live that are, no longer doing farming, no longer doing manufacturing, that there's a huge underutilization of the labor force that we have. And so rather than it being inflationary in terms of, drawing people from elsewhere and raising their wages, as it were, it utilizes currently idled assets. That's how I would talk to a Republican about it.
But the key word that you used, Michael, was wealth. That we used to define in this country quality of life as wealth and longevity. Now we define it as money. It's not just money, right?
Yeah. I recognize you're talking to liberals here, not talking to Republicans. Republicans are not respond that well.
Oh, we know that's why they get really tangled up talking to us. And we are compassionate, but they're screwed up. I mean, so brainwashed about, we've got to privatize everything. We've got the most hilarious meeting we had, and we've had many, was with the congressman representing Northwest North Carolina, which got devastated by Hurricane Helene, which still needs $40 to $50 billion.
Yeah.
And the governor is, doing a valiant effort. He gets them $1 billion every now and then, but there's nothing's happening. He said to us, I oppose your bank. I am here to cut back federal agencies. Private sector is going to rebuild Northwest North Carolina. And we said to him, buddy, if that was going to happen, that happened already. And the fact of the matter is that, and it's literally true, nothing is happening. The private sector is hysterical because the job is so absolutely big. And this guy is just obsessed with do everything I can to dismantle the federal government, and he's not atypical.
But
many of these meetings.
But on the other side, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, just issued his infrastructure fund. That's $1 billion. We estimate Pennsylvania needs $220 billion, not $1 billion.
Yeah.
Well, could you imagine the trying to do it? I'm thinking of that little intersection there between Kingman and Las Vegas and the Highway 11 corridor, and going shooting down to the left, you go to California. You've got to coordinate everybody there. They've been working on that project for what, a decade?
Yeah.
And they do it like a mile at a time. And every time we come through, we're like, they're finally over here.
Well, let me ask you this: you guys are essentially lobbyists for this idea,
Volunteers.
right?
No.
Yeah, but lobbyists nonetheless. I mean, you talk to legislators and try and get them on your side.
Lobbyists are paid. Advocates do it because we're passionate.
I get it, but you're lobbyists. So, my advice to you is to talk to Republicans not in the context that you would a Democrat. Talk to them entirely different. Number one, point out the fact that it's non-inflationary, that we have all these stranded assets, stranded and idle labor, and that it's going to make their constituents in their districts wealthier, and they'll be able to put up those billboards behind them when they're sitting talking in Congress. I bought $50 billion of new investment to my district.
Right. But let me say,
understand their interest and their viewpoint and pitch toward that.
Michael, we do that.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, you make the appointment for us, and we're going to let you tell them.
We've done that
because they'll listen to you,
with
but
Arizona.
not us.
We've done that with Arizona.
And how do they respond in that situation?
But also they'll say, well, yeah, it makes sense, but what does Donald Trump think?
Well, that's
and then Simpson will put up a billboard in my area taking credit for Joe Biden's work.
Yeah. All right.
But
let's just let them. Let's just get it passed. Let's just take the majority. We'll pass it with the Dems, and we'll make it happen.
Hey, call it Trump and have that title be the only thing that disappears that sunsets out.
Trump's big, beautiful bank.
But in the real world, I'm telling you, this is not the Republican Party of 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Or Eisenhower, or even Ronald Reagan. This is not. This is a different animal.
This is not the John McCain Republican Party.
Right. It's not John McCain.
Hey, folks, we've got one of our guests that I haven't heard from, and I didn't know if he might have a thought, because Don's got some background in finance and leadership, and he's been around for a minute. Don, do you have you been able to listen to some of this? Do you have any questions or thoughts on any of this? Mr. Womack?
You're on mute.
He might not be. He
He
might have
may
just
be
changed.
AFK.
He might
Could be
have gone to the.
multitasking. I just wanted to give him a chance.
Right.
Don's a great guy, so I want to give him a chance.
Yeah.
We're up to an hour, folks. Is there any other questions for our guests? Because they're East Coast time, some of them,
Just,
and
Chris
I want
has-
to be mindful
I
of
got
that.
one more.
Yeah, please go ahead, Chris.
So I'm under the expectation that Congress is likely going to change control in the next
Yeah.
election. Are you reaching out to likely Democratic nominees for Congress? Have you talked to Joanna Mendoza, for instance?
We've talked to some. We're happy to talk to any. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of them. If you want to set up, if you know any of these folks and you want to set up Zoom calls with them, we'll do them. For the moment, we want to. I mean, we've been doing them, but for the moment, we are really working on the people that are there.
Sure.
We need as many sponsors as possible. Look, nobody knows what's going to happen over the next 10 to 12 months before a new Congress. This is a volatile political situation. It's a volatile economic situation. Volatile.
But we
Nobody
do
knows.
believe that if while we're getting those ones that are currently in power to sign on, you get all of your people running to be using it as part of their platform, that'll certainly increase the pressure of the guy sitting in office to say, I'm in favor of this. Why would I not want to increase your jobs and all your stuff? I see Don's unmuted now.
Hey, Don.
Oh, there you go. Don, did you want to jump in here, brother? I saw that you were in attendance, and I just want to make sure you had a second. Mr. Womack, you with us? There you go.
I'm here, but I can't turn on my video for some reason.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to ask a question, or if you had any observations about this, what your thoughts were. I always respect your opinion, so.
appreciate you, noticing me, but I don't have a question. But thank you very much.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
George is also on the call, Eric. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Oh, I got you. Oh, Mr. McAfee, how are you, friend? Do you have anything that you want to weigh in on this? Did you catch enough of this to?
I did catch some of it. No, I don't have any particular questions. I'm going to try. We have a rally with Joanne Mendoza on Saturday, so it's some questions I will ask her.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we got a copy of the
Would like to
recording if
do
you
a
want to
call-
record it later or
Like to
review
do
it
a
later.
call with us, we'd be happy to meet with her. We just had a good meeting with a New Hampshire guy running for Congress. He loves the bill.
Nice.
And so also we have some slides at the end of what people can do. So anytime you want, we can put those up as well.
Yeah, go ahead and throw those up and let's go ahead and wrap up if you can.
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that what we have moving in the country is the building of a resistance movement against fascism, against oligarchy. What's missing is the positive, solution, and that's what we're intersecting right now. So, so this is the just to focus this.
Make sure. Can people see these slides?
Not
Yeah,
really.
I got you.
Okay,
Can't
this
read
is
it.
the resolution.
Oh, they're a
that
little
was
small.
passed-
Can you zoom in?
No.
It's a little blurry.
Yeah. It's just a
That's okay. Yeah,
PDF.
We can get you a
And
copy
it's
too.
a
Yeah.
JPEG.
Yeah, we can send these to people, and if everybody wants to put their emails in the chat, we'll keep in touch. So anyway, so this was passed by the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, at their convention in Minneapolis in August. They officially support the National Infrastructure Bank. This was initiated. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Okay. Initiated by the National Federation of Democratic Women, which you heard from Ginny. They passed it in June 9th of last year. Okay. So this is the bill. Our focus for Pima County now is to get Congresswoman Grijalva to co-sponsor. Now, at the bottom, you'll see that you'll see my email. avullo@nibcoalition.com. You can email me for follow-up. We've had, have we had a meeting with her office?
No.
So we want to request a meeting with her office. I think that
But we want to work with you to get to her directly. We know you can do that.
So, so please, put my email down there, follow up. Also, as I said, if you would like follow-up, please put your email into the chat. We're going to have a national Zoom call this Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock your time. So there's a lot of work to be done, but as you heard, things are in motion. This is our opportunity to significantly change things for the nation.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Appreciate you all so much. Any wrap up questions, closing thoughts, anything our guests would like to leave us with? We will send out the recording and the slides to everybody who registered. So that'll get to people who might not have even gotten here tonight. And of course, we'll be available for follow-ups. And anybody we can share if you'd like. We'll share the registered list with you guys too. If you want to go ahead and send them out your own email if they want to sign up or find out more about the organization. Is that fair?
Great. That would
Perfect.
be really good.
Lovely. Yeah, and we'll do what we can on the Adelita front. Certainly we have contacts there, and Joanna Mendoza as well. We've got several people who are close to her.
Great. Well, we would just like to thank you for hosting this. I think
Yeah.
it's been a very engaging and productive discussion.
And say hey to Jeannie and Dennis for me.
We certainly will. Let them know you said hi, Jenny, for sure. Hey, thanks for making time for us this evening.
Thanks so much.
Everybody, friends, always great to see you. Jim, again, thanks for your initiation on this, your catalytic impetus. You never know what pebbles you're kicking off the top of the
Thank
mountain.
you so
causing
much,
landslide.
Eric. Glad I could help.
Eric and Alex, could you send me a copy of this video? I'd like to have my editors slice and dice it and put it up on our new podcast channel, some of the shorts, because it's got some great information I'd like to get out there.
And you guys do interviews every now and then too. So, right, hit them up. All right,
Yeah,
for sure.
it'll
We'll
be
get
on
it.
our YouTube in the next couple of days, and I'll get it over to you, Mike.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you all.
Great. Thanks,
You all
everybody.
have
Have
a
a
good
great
night.
night.
Get some family time.
Good night.
Ciao.